people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Okay, we'll start with this. From the IBF's website, it would appear that a super middleweight unification bout is underway between the champions Savannah Marshall and Greene, scheduled for the undercard of the Taylor vs. Serrano trilogy, July 11th at MSG. This was the slot they wanted to give Claressa Shields to take on that same Greene, but Claressa Shields would hear none of it. She's too proud to box on Amanda and Katie's undercard. Really, it's her loss because she likely would have made more money on that undercard than she did in her main event against Danielle Perkins. I'd rather watch Savannah anyway. Even if Claressa Shields beat Savannah Marshall 2 or 3 years ago, however long it's been, Savannah is still a more entertaining fighter to watch, makes for a better, more aesthetically pleasing fight, and she's a more likable fighter. Because she doesn't have her O anymore. That doesn't change. I mean, look at Devin Haney. He still has his, but how many people do you think he entertained this past Friday? Being unbeaten isn't all it's cracked up to be, and I would rather watch Marshall versus Greene than Shields versus Greene. Greene, who was last in action in November of last year. Last year, she fought 2 times. Once in July, then again in November against Melinda Watpool, who she beat by way of a split decision. Currently on a 2-fight winning streak after having dropped a lopsided decision to Frenchon Cruz. Over to Savannah Marshall, who hasn't boxed in a really long time. The last time she saw action was in July of 2023 in the Frenchon Cruz fight, where she won a majority decision to become undisputed champion. Then a brief stint in the octagon in the cage, where she won her MMA debut in pursuit of what was supposed to be a Shields rematch under MMA rules. Needless to say, that didn't happen. The PFL was interested in paying for it, but Claressa decided to come back to boxing, leaving Savannah high and dry. Remember that Claressa Shields herself was dabbling in mixed martial arts with the PFL, and they were interested in paying for that rematch. I guess Claressa wasn't interested in having it. A lot of time passes. Savannah Marshall sits out all of last year, at least when it comes to boxing. She doesn't box at all. She was supposed to be making her ring return on the undercard of Jonas versus Price very recently, but she was miffed with Boxer because they called her to come down to the kickoff press conference for the show, but they had not secured her an opponent. I remember Savannah, I remember Peter Fury saying that it was disrespectful, the way that she was treated by Boxer. They're giving her the runaround, and so she's making her ring return on an MVP show instead, against a live body, a live animal, in a unification match, albeit less than ideal, to go straight into that unification match without a tune-up fight in between. That's unfortunate, but still interesting, because I happen to think Savannah is a more talented fighter than Greene. But this inactivity, it is a handicap. And even though Jadeja has 1 or 2 more fights than Savannah, I still view Savannah as the more experienced fighter of the two. Better quality of competition, wins over Hannah Rankin, Femke Hermans, Frenchon Cruz. It's a quality over quantity kind of deal, but like I said, the inactivity is a handicap. I half expect Savannah Marshall to migrate from boxer over to MVP. That is, as soon as she becomes a free agent, if she isn't one already, I expect her to join Ellie Scottney and join Alicia Baumgartner, those former Matchroom Valkyries that have since migrated to MVP. I half expect Savannah Marshall to do the same. I feel like the fight between her and Greene is an audition for Savannah, that if she emerges the victor, and she might, maybe she goes into business with them. What's startling about Greene is even though she's got speed, power, and some counters, she gets gun-shy in the exchange. I noticed it at first in the Olivia Curry fight, definitely noticed it in the Franchon Cruz fight, and more recently, in the Melinda Watt pool fight that, being honest, I thought Melinda should have won. It's peculiar to see a fighter that has all the ingredients to be a great counterpuncher become so gun-shy when the opportunities present themselves, not being able to pick the right moment to let a shot go. When you throw combinations at Jadeja, she becomes hesitant, defensive, and shells up. Doesn't throw. I thought she was going to beat Franchon Cruz. Franchon proved me wrong by being the busier fighter and flustering Jadeja Greene. So here and now with Savannah, I'm not sure she can beat her, even with the inactivity. It's a good fight. It's intriguing, and we'll talk more about it as the fight date approaches. Elsewhere in the world of boxing, a back-and-forth exchange between Bill Haney and veteran trainer Robert Garcia. Bill said Dan Rafael and Tim Bradley said the fight was boring, but after 12 rounds with Devin Haney, Jose Ramirez ended up in the back of an ambulance, while Devin sat ringside, laughing and ready for the next challenge, to which Robert responded, "Every fighter did that. That's where they checked every fighter post-fight. Don't start this nonsense. Congrats, you guys won. No need for the bullshit." To which Bill Haney responded, "We didn't." To which Robert responded, "The way your son acts with the commission, I bet you didn't. There's no locker rooms, so everyone was told to get checked in the back of the ambulance. You think after that fight, either of our fighters needed to go to the ambulance? Instead of posting this, we should be apologizing." To which Bill responded, Hall of Fame trainer Robert Garcia, with a Mexican pressure fighter that historically throws a lot of punches, didn't teach him how to cut off the ring, or he didn't listen to you. So yes, both of you should apologize and tell the truth. Facts. Devin and Rolly didn't see an ambulance. Listen, I don't know why Jose was in the back of that ambulance, but it couldn't have been because of anything Devin did, since Devin spent 36 minutes playing keep away from him. What are you trying to say, Bill? That Devin Haney beat up Jose Ramirez so bad he had to go to the hospital afterwards? Do you think we didn't watch the fight or something? See, the only reason guys like Bill talk as much as they do is because they think in their head it sounds good. This guy only talks as much as he does because he thinks he's charming. He sounds like an idiot. If he knew what he sounds like to the rest of the world, what he sounds like to us, he probably wouldn't say a peep. If he could fathom how much damage he's done to his son's reputation just by opening his big mouth. And he mentioned Rolly. I don't even know he had the nerve to mention Rolly Romero when Rolly actually put on a better display of boxing than your son did. Rolly, the guy who eats crayons. Rolly, the guy with the lisp. Not only did he defend himself better against Ryan's left hook than your son did, but he landed 2 or 3 of his own that sent Ryan to the canvas. While you're gloating about what? Why are you so satisfied with yourself?
For the confusion with some footage that was out about Jose in an ambulance. What's going on with that, Coach?
Bill Haney,
was Jose injured?
Look, I've always said it, and before the fight and after the fight, you know, I've always talked good to the Haneys. They've always given me nothing but respect. But for Bill to post a picture of Jose in the ambulance after the fight and saying something like they hurt him and they had to send him to the hospital, he knows he's lying to himself. He knows he's lying to the world, and that's what disappoints me, because he's a grown man. He's not a kid. He's a grown man, and he knows exactly that there was no locker rooms in that arena because it was a small corner. It was in the street. The locker room was in the hotel 2 blocks away. So they clearly told us in the rules meeting after the fight, every fighter is gonna go back to the street, and then we're gonna have ambulance. And they're all gonna go into the ambulance and be checked by the doctor.
It's just like they rolled in the cab.
Just like they do here. Right now, right here, my fighter, right now, our Barrera, just won by knockout.
Right.
He still goes to the back and sees the doctor. Every fighter does that in every single fight. Everybody should know that.
Absolutely.
Every fighter does that. He goes and sees the doctor, they clear him and everything, they go to their locker room. So, right there in New York, every fighter went to the back, to the ambulance, the doctors checked them, they released them, we get in the car, and the car drives us to the hotel. That's exactly what happened.
There's no need for Robert to give us a lengthy explanation as to why Jose was in that ambulance, because we know it's not because of anything Devin did. We saw the fight. You didn't do any damage. You didn't do anything. You did with Jose Ramirez what William Skull did with Canelo Alvarez, and that's laps around the ring and not much else. I expected better from Devin. I absolutely did. I gave him the benefit of the doubt that he would have used the time to improve, and instead, he looked worse. He looked worse than he looked with Ryan.
Oh, he didn't get knocked down 3 times.
It was former 2-division champion and Hall of Fame inductee Timothy Bradley who said it best. Devin Haney should retire after that performance. PTSD is real. Hang up the gloves. Devin Haney's been told to retire following his last performance against Jose Ramirez. Haney had his first boxing match since his no contest against Ryan Garcia last year. Haney was dropped 3 times in the Garcia fight. As he lost the majority decision, the result was eventually overturned after Garcia failed VADA tests for Osterin. Haney had plenty of time to regroup as he decided to make his comeback at 147. He also teamed up with Shane Mosley, who backed Haney to stop Ramirez. And we know that shit didn't happen.
Well, it was understandable that Haney wanted to avoid taking punishment after the Garcia fight. His brand suffered more damage. The CompuBox numbers showed that the fight failed to produce much action. The fight only had 110 punches landed as it became the 4th lowest bout ever recorded on CompuBox. Haney landed 70 punches while Ramirez only connected with 30. Tim Bradley slammed the performance, with Diaz also not holding back.
Devin, I felt he didn't want the fight either with Ryan Garcia. The way he was fighting, how scared he was. PTSD is a real thing in boxing. It's a real thing. And that's what I saw with Devin. Watching him run around the ring, I was like, did this dude train with a former sprinter? Usain Bolt? Who the hell did he train with? He's running around the ring like he's crazy. I'm like, settle your feet and grow some balls, man. Stand there and jab. Make sure you back this guy, Jose Ramirez, up off of you. I was so angry after watching that Fatal Fury City of the Wolves event. I wasted my time watching that. The whole show was trash. All the fighters on there don't have the passion. They don't have the desire. Bro!
Timothy Bradley said,
Devin, when he lets his hands go, he lands because he has accuracy. But why doesn't he let go of punches? I mean, look at Ramirez, pressuring the whole fight. He wanted to engage because Ramirez wanted to fight. But you got to have a partner, right? You got to have a partner to exchange. But there was no partner for him. He was just chasing a rabbit around the ring. He needs to retire, man. Devin Haney needs to retire and just let the real fighters get in the ring and perform. Honestly, never been a fan of his boxing. The only good fight I saw him in was when he fought Linares, and I saw the fight because of Linares, not because of him. But these kinds of performances, man, he should just retire, Diaz said.
think about the spirit that Ramon Cardenas showed as a massive underdog opposite the ring, the monster, Naoya Inoue. Think about the Vasquez guy that fought Rafael Espinoza in the co-main. Then look over at Devin and ask yourself, why are they paying him so much?
They're paying him all those millions of dollars for performances like that. That money should be going to guys like Ramon Cardenas.
Devin is just a wannabe, cosplaying Floyd Mayweather in his mid-30s.
I don't know what him and his daddy is so happy about. What, you're happy that Ryan lost? That he got beat? You understand that him getting beat kills your rematch with him, that now nobody wants to see it.
And after your performance, nobody wants to see you.
So tell me, without that big Ryan Garcia rematch to fall back on, how do you plan on making an astronomical amount of money given the reception that you got and that rematch is dead? Nobody cares. Nobody wants to see it.
The moment that Ryan Garcia went down off of those 2 left hooks from Rolly Romero, your payday went down with him.
Down the toilet, along with your reputation. So what are you celebrating? That Rolly Romero put on a better display of boxing against Ryan than you did.
Rolly that likely needs to use a helmet to go to the bathroom.
While you pretend that your son damaged Jose Ramirez so badly in the fight, he had to go to the ambulance. He had to go to the hospital afterwards, likely dehydrated from chasing your son around the ring. Because your son's not a fighter, he's an ice skater.
The word is out, and nobody wants to see him. And without Ryan, he's exposed to the rest of the welterweight division, the actual welterweights, which Ryan is not.
She said the fans would have bothered the fighters. No, the fighters said them rich motherfuckers was bothering them because they could hear everything. They said it felt like a sparring session in the gym where you can hear everything.
That's what Ryan said, who needed a fucking excuse for why he lost.
Arnold Barboza said
you want to fucking recite the excuse because you called Rolly a crayon eater. So you and Ryan look bad. So y'all need excuses. Y'all need something to point at.
No. You see what this just did? Classic narcissist bullshit. I don't have no excuses. Ryan got his ass cooked.
You ain't got no excuses, but you reciting Ryan's. You ain't got no excuses, but you reciting Ryan's.
And Arnold Barboza, nigga. And Arnold Barboza.
Another dude that lost. I don't hear no winners complaining.
You twerking for the Turk, nigga. You twerking for the Turk.
I'm twerking for the winners. I don't hear none of them complaining.
An interesting back and forth debate between Nestor Gibbs and Two-Tone the Superstar when Nestor raised a valid point. The only valid point I heard, Teofimo was subject to the same crowd noise as Arnold Barboza, and Rolly was subject to the same crowd noise as Ryan Garcia, and they won.
Didn't bother them. So how's that an excuse for Arnold? How is that an excuse for Ryan? And what are you doing if not still making excuses for him? You have to, because you're one of the ones that actually co-signed his bullshit for a year, hoping that you can siphon followers off him because of his celebrity. Not so popular now.
I told you that Ryan Garcia's success would be short-lived. Now, in fairness, I didn't think Rolly would be the one to end the gravy train for guys like Two-Tone. But all the same, I told you it ain't gonna last long, because he's not a good fighter.
Whatever you saw last year was a byproduct of the banned substances that he was using. And Victor Conti said as much, saying, interesting, that Ryan Garcia claims Victor Conti is the biggest cheater in boxing. Commentator Jim Lampley said during the 11th round of Haney versus Ramirez, there's no real evidence that Conti is cheating. It is not turned up in tests. Mike Copinger agreed. None at all. In my opinion, Ryan Garcia was simply not the same fighter on May 2nd of 2025 that he was on April 20th of the previous year. Ryan had not been randomly tested for 10 months before entering a testing pool of just 8 weeks before his first fight. Ryan can no longer deny that his performance and bizarre behavior before the first fight were highly suspicious.
Don't you see? When the testing is rigorous and Ryan isn't allowed to blow the weight and play all those games, look at how he looked.
He's a different guy.
He was a completely different fighter. And I don't even know that he can come back from this. I don't actually know that he can beat Rolly in a rematch. If there is one, we'll see.
But what I do know is that they found aspirin in your system via 2 different testing agencies. The Voluntary Anti-Doping Agency, who you tell us not to trust, and the New York State Athletic Commission that conducted their own test.
Found the same aspirin in your system as the VADA test. So how do you reconcile it? You don't. You act stupid for a year, enjoy it while you can.
The hack podcasters did, but now the show is over. It's back to reality.
Word to the wise for all the aspiring content creators that look to cover boxing. Don't let these boxes make you look stupid.
Hey, don't get too attached to things.
The boxers, because the boxers themselves rise and fall like the wheat. Kiss a little bit too much ass and you end up taking the same hits to your reputation that they take to theirs.
Now you look just as stupid as he does.
Twice as stupid because you defended him. Where Ryan Garcia goes from here, I really don't know, and I really don't care. As far as I'm concerned, you can throw that whole crop of fighters away, Ryan, Devin.
The lot of them.
Because they're an embarrassment.